Welcome to episode 4 of the Vitality Bloodwork course. In episodes 1 through 3, we talked about the high-level concepts that separate performance blood work from everything else. We talked about key biomarkers. What is a reference range? How does that differentiate itself in the world of performance? And then we got into real-world actionable steps for nutrition and supplementation based on your biomarkers. In this episode, I want to mirror episode 3, but do it through the lens of lifestyle and training interventions based upon blood work. How does your lifestyle impact your biomarkers? Well, let me ask you, how does your lifestyle impact your body? How do you feel when you're stressed? How do you feel when you're not sleeping well? These things feel bad in our body for a reason, because they are. When you're stressed, that is one of the most detrimental things that you can do to your body that is connected to an unbelievable amount of ailments because it is impacting every single system in our body. Sleep, very similar. In contrast though, to be more positive here, how good does it feel when you have gratitude? How good does it feel when you are happy? How good does it feel when you're excited to wake up and get after your goals each and every single day? The equal and opposite effect takes place as well. Our mind is our body, and our body is our mind. Those aren't two different things. They are one functioning unit moving forward, and the biomarkers are just a convenient way for us to objectively look at that. So, for example, if we are sleeping poorly, well, sleep is going to impact many things downstream. Poor sleep, even just for one night, is going to increase your blood sugar for the next day. So you can imagine what type of impact that's going to have on our body over time. Poor sleep also decreases testosterone, decreases leptin, and increases ghrelin. Well, we talked about testosterone decreases and what impact that can have on our body a few episodes ago, but what are these two new guys, leptin and ghrelin? Well, leptin is a hormone that is very important for satiation or feelings of fullness. If we sleep poorly, this hormone actually goes down. And then ghrelin goes up, which is a hormone of hunger. So now we have increased appetite with reduced satiation, offset blood sugar, and low testosterone. This is a huge area that's going to impact blood sugar markers, inflammation markers, hormone markers. It's going to impact cholesterol and lipid values over time. That single thing in our life can impact our entire body, but our entire body then in turn is going to impact our entire life. This is very, very, very important to tease out, and it wouldn't be a true program design if I did not include this. I cannot look at a biomarker and give someone a supplement. I cannot just look at a biomarker and tell someone to eat blueberries. No, because what if it was stress? What if it was sleep? These things from the outside in impact our life from the inside out. And to have a true holistic approach to vitality, we need to tackle everything all at once because that's what you deserve. Another great example of lifestyle impacting biomarkers and impacting our entire life is stress. I really want to grab onto this example because we're so familiar with stress, what it feels like. If you're not chronically stressed, you know someone who is, or you've had a period in your life where you were. Stress impacts our body dramatically, and it actually begins with stress reducing stomach acid. Okay? There's something known as hypochlorhydria. Hypo, absence of, chlorhydria, stomach acid. You can think your way into reducing your stomach acid. This is a big problem because it creates 3 big issues. Number 1, stomach acid is exactly as it sounds, incredibly acidic. It is not a mistake that biology made the very first digestive organ a giant vat of acid, because even though we can't see things on our food that are microscopic and dirty, they're there. So evolutionary biology has in place put a giant vat of acid as the first digestive organ that your food comes into contact with to kill off any potential pathogens. Anything that's on that food that shouldn't be there, which happens all the time, that gets destroyed by the acid, so that food is sterile by the time it enters the small intestine and goes through the proper digestion and assimilation process. That's reason number one why we need to avoid this stress hypochlorhydria situation, because it puts us at greater risk for illness and infection in the future. Reason number two is stomach acid is actually what is the trigger for the esophageal sphincter. So right before your throat allows that food to enter the stomach, there is a esophageal sphincter right there. Stomach acid is what triggers it to close, but if we do not have a lot of stomach acid, then it remains more open. This is acid reflux. This is heartburn. If this remains open, then your body has a greater susceptibility and chance of acid flowing upstream. This creates heartburn. It creates acid reflux. Those terms are one and the same, which then forces you to kind of lean towards more medications, which have side effects that you don't need in your life. But then also, a lot of people don't know acid reflux and heartburn impact sleep dramatically. You get these symptoms way worse when you're lying down and horizontal, and you get them while you sleep. And this impacts sleep quality whether you're awake or not. There's a difference between sleep length and sleep quality. And if somebody's getting acid reflux and heartburn throughout the night, that is an absolute stressor to the system, which is going to stress you into having a lower quality sleep. And a lower quality of sleep, well, we already talked about a lot of the outcomes of that already in this episode. And trust me, there are dozens and dozens more. So hypochlorhydria also impacts us from heartburn and sleep perspective as well. And last but not least, our body makes different digestive juices to break down different forms of food. You already learned about bile in the nutrition episode, how it breaks down fats. Well, our pancreas, it creates a lot of enzymes that are responsible for breaking down carbohydrates, but this stomach acid that I'm talking about right now is what breaks down whole proteins into peptides or amino acids. So now imagine, I want to perform better. Well, I'm only going to perform to the degree that I am recovered, because you're never going to perform well in a state of under recovery. So in order to recover better, what am I going to do? I'm going to increase my protein. I want more protein to recover better. Well, you aren't what you eat. You only are what you eat and actually absorb. Don't ever forget that. You aren't what you eat. You only are what you eat and actually absorb. So if I'm having my protein for the purpose of recovery, for the purpose of performing better, does that matter a whole lot if I'm not optimally uptaking it? That is dependent upon digestive juices, which is dependent upon your ability to manage stress. Because in this context, the quote, root cause of the problem here was chronic stress. What did chronic stress do? It increased your susceptibility to infections and illness by not sterilizing food coming into your body. It increased acid reflux and heartburn and also sleep quality for the same reason. And now we're not optimally digesting and assimilating our protein to recover from exercise so that we can perform better. Your lifestyle has a huge impact on your body. And you can imagine these three things are going to offset well more than a dozen biomarkers that are going to need to be addressed, that are going to completely change your life. And I do not throw that phase around lightly. If you can reverse that situation, that is the situation that will completely transform your body and your mind. And guess what? Remember those patterns and relationships I was talking about? Hypochlorhydria is identifiable within a blood work pattern. So if you flag for hypochlorhydria, and then you are able to create the protocol and intervention to offset that, you will change your life. So now understanding sleep and stress and how that can impact our biomarkers, and also now how our biomarkers can impact sleep and stress, and that becomes a negative feedback loop, what do you think that can do to your training? Of course that's going to impact your training prescriptions. You are not recovering optimally, so you're going to need to decrease training volumes for a certain period of time while you address this at the root causal level. Once it is addressed, training volume can then go back up and you are able to get more quality training stimulus. Here's the thing with training. If you're trying to get stronger, somebody might want to get stronger, right? So they're going to try and increase their strength training. Is that an illogical way of thinking? Definitely not. If I want to get stronger, I'm going to do more strength training. But you're coming up with an outside-in solution for an inside-out problem. Your biochemistry is not set up to handle the additional stress load that you want to add for strength training for the purpose of getting stronger. And what's going to happen is you're going to spin your tires in the mud. You're gonna be like, man, I think I'm doing all the right things. I think I have an excellent program. Look, you probably do, but you just don't have the biochemistry to properly adapt to the stress that you're currently applying to your body. So you can inform your training program through your biomarker readings and allow yourself to have a way higher quality training stimulus when you get rid of the internal stressors that are currently holding you back from maximizing the results that you're going to get from that program. But that also works in reverse. If you have bad biomarkers, sometimes the answer is more training, because more training can reduce fat in the liver, more training can balance blood sugar, more training can reduce inflammation in the body. More training can do so many things to improve lipid profiles, you name it. Exercise is notoriously healthy, but it is a balance that is excellently observed through blood work. And the information that you can attain from your blood work is going to determine whether you should hit the brake a little bit or take your foot off that brake and just hit the gas. All right, let's wrap this one up. I know it's been a lot to digest so far, but you are doing a great job. And I really hope that I was able to point out in this episode, just like I did in the nutrition and supplement episode, every single biomarker is actionable, also from a lifestyle and training perspective. Look, you are only ever going to perform to the degree that you are constrained. You will only perform to the degree that you are constrained, and sometimes this constraint is stress. Sometimes this constraint is sleep. Sometimes this constraint is something to do with your lifestyle and training from the outside in that's impacting the inside out. And if we're taking a true and holistic approach here to improve you, then we need to look at everything that is you. A constraint can live anywhere. It can live all across your lifestyle, training, nutrition, and supplementation regimes. And the accuracy at which you're going to be able to identify that constraint and remove it, that is going to be proportional to how effective your training program is in the short and the long term. I already said this is a lot to digest and consume, but trust me, Vitality makes it easy. We assess all of these areas for you. We design your performance plan for you. You just press the button and go, and we take care of everything else. That wraps up episode 4. Episode 5, I can't wait to dig into the art of blood work with you. And your homework this time around is to ask yourself and look at your lab work. If you were to change something in your lifestyle, how would that impact your labs? Maybe it is sleep and stress. Or maybe it is not getting enough sunlight per day. Or maybe it's being on your phone too much. Or maybe it is alcohol and partying. Whatever it is, how could that impact your blood work and then in turn impact the other categories of all the things that you want to accomplish in this life? Can't wait to see you for the next one.